I'd like to call to order today's Metropolitan Area Planning Commission meeting. If we could have our opening comments, please.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and planning department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the Planning Department. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
Thank you. At this point, I would like to get approval for our meeting minutes from June 17th. I show Nix, Florence, and Joe Johnson to be absent from that meeting. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Been moved by Mr. McKay, second by Ms. Miles, to approve the minutes from our June 17th meeting. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. And
Abstain.
Joe Johnson abstains. So thank you, Joe. I didn't see you sneak in on us there.
Oh, I'm in here.
Oh. So we'll go through the planning agenda, see which ones we can take on consent and which items we're going to hear. So first up, we have the sub 2020-19 one-step final plat for Hawk Haven Meadow Edition. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Hearing none. Is there anyone in the audience here in City Hall that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone virtually that would like to hear this case? One-step final plat, Hawk Haven Meadow Edition. Hearing none, we'll take that item on consent. Next, we have sub 21-19, one-step final plat, McManamy Estates Edition. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case?
I just got a question for staff after.
Okay. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to hear this case? Hearing none, is there anyone virtually that would like to hear this case? One-step final plat, McManamy Estates Edition. Hearing none, I'll come back and let you ask your question when if you
Question
want
is just for staff, just to see if there was any opposition that was wrote in or called in or anything on this case.
No, there was no opposition.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. We'll take this case on consent. Next, we have sub 21-32, one-step final plat for Hample Meadow Edition. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case?
Same question after.
Is there anyone in the chambers here in City Hall that would like to hear this case? Hample Meadow Edition. Hearing none, or seeing none, is there anyone virtually that would like to hear this case? Hample Meadow Edition, final plat. Hearing none, your question?
Question is, has anybody called in opposition in favor or anything on this case?
No comments have been received.
Thank you.
If I could have a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Hartman made the motion, and I didn't quite catch, and it was Foster on the second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. The vacation item has been deferred to our next meeting. So we'll roll on into our public hearing items. We have Zone 2112 that was returned from the Board of County Commissioners, and we will hear this case. Item 4.2, it's a conditional use 21-27. It's a conditional use for a group residence located at 5502 East Polo. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Hearing none, is there anyone in the chambers that would like to hear this case? We will hear this case. Agenda item 4.3, conditional use 21-29 with a conditional 21-30. It's a conditional use for a group residence limited and also a conditional for accessory apartment located at 10932 West 37th Street North. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Is there someone in City Hall that would like to hear this case? We will hear this case. And at this point, I believe Mr. Nix is wanting to abstain.
I just indicated I wanted to hear this case.
Oh, you wanted to hear it. Okay. All right. Next case, we have PUD 21-11. It's a city zone change from B multifamily residential and limited industrial to a planned unit development generally located at 3100 North Hillside. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Okay, we will hear this case. Next, we have Zone 21-33. to zone change from single-family residential to multifamily residential with a protective overlay, located approximately 1,100 feet east of West Zoo Boulevard and 470 feet north of West Central. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this case? Hearing none, is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone virtually that would like to hear this case? Located in the Zoo Boulevard and Central area. Zone 21-33. We will take this.
Move we approve 21-33.
Got a motion to approve?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Joe Johnson, second by Ms. Fox, to approve this item. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Typically, at this point, we would adjourn this meeting and go into our BZA meeting. However, we have to have a hearing on another case before we can hear this BZA case. So at the conclusion of our regular planning commission meeting, we will then go into our BZA meeting. So with that being said, our first case is zone 21-12, and it was returned from the BOCC.
Good afternoon, Kathy Morgan for the Planning Department. You can see on your screen the outlined area of the zone change. And keep going if you would, Paul. That's an aerial, it's undeveloped at this time. The request is to go from rural residential to SF, single-family residential 20. Again, next, Paul. This is your future growth map that shows new residential, and it was in the growth area of the city of Wichita. Next. I can go through these later. You all have seen these slides before. So what was the result of the Board of County Commissioners was they voted to return consideration back to the Planning Commission so that additional input could be provided by the residents in the area. And I do know you have on your at your desk, you had an updated Board of County Commission minutes. In the last page of that, you'll see what the vote was. And also you had a new packet of emails, as I received several emails yesterday afternoon. And we do have a number of folks virtually, as I've been looking at the screen. So staff had recommended approval of the zone change from rural residential to SF 20. Staff still recommends that approval of that zone change. There's been no new information submitted regarding this case. And I will stand for questions at this point.
Do you have any questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Nix.
So can you summarize just briefly why it's sent back to us? I couldn't understand it. I'm not, maybe Scott could, he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they after?
You bet. Scott Wadle, Planning Department. I was there at the meeting, and the BOCC had expressed a desire to provide another opportunity for feedback on this one. And the reason why is because they had observed that following the MAPC meeting, There had been no additional communications. No one came in opposition at the BOCC meeting. There were no protests received. And yet at the MAPC meeting, there had been at least one individual who spoke against it, and there had been some emails received about that. And so they sent it back in order to provide an additional opportunity for folks to provide public input.
Anything else?
Okay, I guess then we're just waiting on comments from someone who'd like to show up and talk and react to the emails that we got. But we didn't get any direction from the Board of County Commissioners other than they just heard protests and sent it back to us. Is that right? Am I understanding this right?
It was that they wanted to ensure that there was another opportunity to receive public input.
Okay.
Yep.
That's better stated than, okay, fine.
I believe when we heard this originally, we had asked multiple times for public comment. And this was back when we only had virtual opportunities for the public to respond. And it was called several times from the bench for public comment. There was no public comment available. We voted on the item, it passed, and as we were calling the next item up, we had someone from the public that said, oh, I wanted to talk about the previous case. And so I think the BOCC saw that, recognized that, and wanted to give folks the appropriate opportunity to express their support or discontent with this particular case. So are there any other questions for staff at this point? Hearing none, is the agent or applicant present?
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Dan Garber with Garber Surveying Service. Our Wichita address is 544 West Douglas Avenue. And we're representing John and Audrey Roberts in this case. We've been to the subdivision committee multiple times and planning commission as well. I think the one other thing that I picked up from the county commission meeting was that they wanted to separate the issues, that this is a zoning issue, not a plating issue. And so while they wanted everyone to have a hearing, they wanted it to come back here without the plat. And so I think you've heard everything regarding the use. The SF-20 was actually a recommendation or a requirement from the city of Wichita because of the Wichita Urban Growth Corridor. And so that's really about all that I have to say. I will stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions?
Thank you.
Hearing none? Yeah, take notes. Okay, we will now open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to address the commission on this case? If there are, if you would please come forward and state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing nobody in the chambers, is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this case?
Hi, yes, this is Melinda Morgan. And my address is 240 North Reese Road. With regard to the April 22nd hearing, I, along with at least 10 of my neighbors, had submitted emails that we understood would be listed as, yeah, just me. Sorry, we have multiple meetings. Yeah, just hang on. Okay. Sorry, does that sound better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so at least 10 of the neighbors on Reese Road had expressed their concerns via email because of the limitations with having to do a virtual meeting. We felt like that would be the most efficient way to communicate. And then when the actual hearing occurred, numerous members, including myself, were on the call over an hour and a half before it was time for our part of the hearing, by which case I, as well as a couple others, had to transition back to our workplace meetings. For this meeting, at least 16 of us had sent in emails with concerns about the zoning change, and there's a variety of reasons for that, but our preference would be that the area would stay as rural residential.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone on the commission that would like to have any questions of the speaker? Hearing none. Thank you again. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? You have, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Don Stearns, 410 North Reese Road, Goddard, Kansas. Thanks for giving me a moment here to visit with you. I agree, and our neighborhood agrees with Mrs. Melinda Morgan. The one comment I want to make, I sent out a request in our prior meeting, which I believe was on plating. Working with several of you there, I recognize, some of them I don't. A lot of these projects get pushed through. They're typical lines on a piece of paper, plotted out and discussed. But in certain situations, not being present can really represent a great dilemma in understanding the neighbors and the neighborhood being affected. I personally invited each and every member twice, I believe, to come out to Reese Road. I would actually meet you, give you my phone number. We have a unique situation here with the road narrowing, being 21 to 23 feet, with obstructions, with no sidewalks, with no bike paths, with no recreational areas. And typically this is a rubber stamp process. We lay it out, we all look at it, we have a few people complain, we rubber stamp it, we go on to the next subdivision. I would simply reiterate my request before anything moves forward, that you would take a few moments out of your day and come out to Reese Road before anything proceeds, and understand one thing: the liability that you're putting on this residential neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Do we have any questions for the speaker from the commission? Hearing none, I will say that I have been out to the neighborhood and drove the street, went down to the cul-de-sac that will be tying into the adjacent subdivision. Street looked like it was in pretty darn good shape. I know that the county engineer or the public works director made a comment at the Board of County Commission meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and said that the street was in very good shape. It was designed and built to withstand the traffic that it's carrying and any future traffic that could be carried on that street. I did also notice that all of the houses appear to be set back pretty good distance from the street. So some have been out and seen what's going on out there. But thank you again for your testimony.
Can I reply to your comment?
I suppose you can.
All right, sir. I appreciate you coming out. I wished I'd had an opportunity to visit with you out here to show you in more detail. Absolutely. We have a great pavement. It's a great street. but it fails every suggestion listed in the street design guidance report published in 2014 by PEC. So I just want to bring that on the record for the purpose of liability, that you are taking what is a cul-de-sac and it's being zoned or being promoted as a thoroughfare. So I just want to make sure that we all understand that this will no longer be a nice, quiet cul-de-sac. I hope that the whole committee understands that you're making Reese Road a thoroughfare, a back entrance into Wichita. And thank you again for allowing me to make that comment.
Welcome. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I would like to, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, this is Gail Dieters. I live at 343 Reese Road. And I've been out there since 2005 living on that cul-de-sac. And it has been, you know, just a pleasure to live out there the way things are today. And I think Dawn stated it very well about, you know, the cul-de-sac and the neighborhood and such. And I'm going to go even just a little bit farther and talk about Central. If you put this development in as it's proposed, Central already is a high-speed racetrack, if you will, because of Eisenhower High School being out in that area, and Central being a straight shot into Wichita coming off of 167th Street. That road alone, Central out there, is a 2-lane, no shoulders, ditches that go straight down. I think you're going to open the risk there of just, you know, how much more traffic we're going to have, because everybody in that neighborhood is going to go down Central coming to and from Wichita, and they're going to, you know, just make that road, you know, let alone Reese Road, they're going to make Central that much more busy. And it's going to be, it's just a matter of time before we have accidents and or fatalities out there. So, and then also going to the corner there at 167th and Central, adding all that traffic, it's just a matter of time there as well. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dieters. Are there any questions for the speaker? No questions. Thank you again for your testimony. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission?
This is Julie Stuckey.
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, this is Julie Stuckey. I live at 330 North Reese Road. And first, I'd like to address Kathy Morgan. She didn't really speak up to let you guys know that meeting that you guys said at the beginning that none of us came to or opposed. We did. And I'd like Kathy to speak for a minute so she can explain what happened, because it seems to all you guys like we just skipped a step or missed, but when we actually didn't. And so if Kathy could talk, and then I have more to say.
Ma'am, she's sitting here and waiting for all of the comments to be made. I will say that we have received all of the email that were sent to staff concerning this zoning case. And I think
I just wanted you guys to know that we did it the first time, though, the first meeting.
Yeah.
We were skipped over. And I wanted that noted, that we didn't miss it. We didn't not show up. Kathy got multiple emails. There were multiple people on Zoom, and because of technical issues, couldn't get in. But Kathy is aware of the issue that she had getting the emails. And so we did not skip that meeting. And that's what it was. That's how it was proposed at the beginning of this meeting.
Okay.
And I want that cleared.
Yeah, that's clear. And we do have a pretty thick packet here of emails that have been received. on this case.
Okay, as long as you guys realize those emails were sent at the first meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
We were just skipped.
Yeah,
We were skipped. Okay.
They're all dated.
Okay, perfect. That
Yep.
was one of my main concerns. We
Okay.
did not miss anything. We've opposed this from the very beginning and
Yes.
have done every step of the way like we've been told.
Yes.
The second thing is I'd like to, again, reiterate what Gail Dieter said. I don't know what commissioner came out here. Who was it that came out to Reese Road?
I was,
Do you have any comments on pulling out onto Central? Did you notice the hill to the east? That when you pull out is totally obstructs your view. And that, like Gail said, is just a major accident waiting to happen already. I can't imagine adding more houses, more traffic to that mix. Did you notice that hill? And if you did, respond to that. If you did not, I'd like you to come back out.
no, I went out on Central.
Did you notice the hill to the east when you pull out?
That's the direction that I went, yes.
Okay, did you, well, if you head west on Central, then that's totally obstructing your view of anybody heading that way. So maybe come out again and pull out heading west. And you'll see exactly what we mean. It's a very obstructive hill. And so I know when you guys are planning and plotting and zoning and everything, you just see lines on a map like what we're seeing right now. That doesn't show the geography out here. And that is a huge, huge safety concern. And it is an accident waiting to happen. That's a death on somebody's conscience right there, with more traffic added. So I invite all of you or the commissioner that came out here to come back and really look at that going out from Central, from Reese Road to Central. Don't look at the lines on this map. Come out and look at the geography.
Okay. Your time is up. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No,
and
my
share?
two main points where I wanted Kathy to let you guys know that we did get everything in on time at the first meeting.
Got it?
And then
Said that.
Central, please come look. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the speaker?
Mike,
Here,
So-
yes, Mr. Johnson.
what we're faced with here is just a zoning issue, right? Not a plating issue.
Correct. That is correct. This is a zoning issue. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other speakers here virtually that would like to address the commission on this case?
Yes, I would.
State your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Michael Hott. We live at 207 North Reese Road, which is at the corner of Shade and Reese. So of all my neighbors, I'm probably going to be the one most affected with the increased in and out traffic that is being proposed to enter the new development off of Shade. As Mr. Dieters, Mr. Stearns have already pointed out, I've lived here since 2006, moved here with the intent of somewhat escaping traffic and build our house with that in mind. Now, with that being stated, the road, as you noted, was, yeah, it's in good shape. The road itself was not constructed with increased amount of traffic that it would take to support a new development back there. It was built with the idea that it would support our cul-de-sac and the residents that do live here. As you have been out here, you do know that the development itself has a limited amount of houses, and basically we're one street and built with a cul-de-sac in mind. So I would also emphasize that Mr. Dieters had pointed out that 4th Street or Central and 167th, with the increased traffic on that. I do have students kids at Eisenhower High School that take that route. There is no stoplight at 4th Street and 167th. And again, we are looking at, a major liability concern, an accident waiting to happen. Those roads, as Mr. Dieters pointed out, the road on Central is 2-lane with no shoulder. And it's very dark, especially at night, it's very dark.
There is no lights to speak of out here. So I would just like you to reconsider. I like the one entrance proposal with the off 167th. I do not necessarily like the second entrance proposal off of Shade Street, because all that traffic would be going right by my house, as my house sits right on that corner. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Hott. Is there anybody on the commission that has a question for the speaker? Yes, Mr. Hartman. Make sure your mic's on. Make sure your mic's on.
Is it on now?
Yeah. now
Okay,
if you-
I'm sorry, my mic was off. I was asking whether you thought that did know that this property was being rezoned. What we're looking at now is zoning. We're not looking at the way the property is going to be set up for circulation and things like that. So our task here is to determine whether this is an appropriate zone use, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Correct, I'm aware of that. I know the direction that the development potentially is taking, and I would like and prefer to keep the zone as it stands now. Zoning as it stands now.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Are there any other speakers that would like to address the commission?
Whatever big developer is, he's developing the rest of that over there. It's just gonna be.
Ms. Penner, could you state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes? Make sure your mic's unmuted. Ms. Penner? Yeah, Rebecca Penner?
Yes.
Were you the one that was speaking just a minute ago?
No, I'm not. No, I have nothing to say. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the commission on this case?
Yes, I would. My name is Eileen Covey, and I live at 327 North Reese Road. So this is a zoning issue. I guess I have two different things to ask. One, this is a zoning issue, not a platting.
Correct.
And so since we understand that there's going to be progress, there's going to be new houses put in somewhere around us. We can't stay isolated forever. When is the best time for us to go forward to say, we do not want access from the new addition onto Reese Road? Is that the platting? When do we really need to be vocal and say, no, this has got to change?
Yes, it would be during the platting process, and I believe the director, Mr. Wadle, has a comment.
Yes, it would just simply be to say that in terms of the land use and the size of the properties, that is in part determined by the zoning. So it's appropriate to talk about the size of the units, whether they should be rural residential and the limitations of the minimum lot size that has versus something different. But in terms of the configuration of the street connections to other streets, that is part of the platting process.
So this would be the meeting if we come back as far as our neighborhood and said to increase the number of lots or decrease the number of lots in that area. So they would only require one entrance. This would be the time to request that and have that looked at?
Yes, in part, yes, because there is a minimum lot size that applies to different zoning districts. And so, yes.
Our understanding was the Roberts' initial submission was that the lots were going to be larger, which would not require the two entrances. And now they're smaller, which now requires two. Is there anything we can do to change that at this point?
Yes, that depends on the zoning. And for that, I'm going to look to Kathy Morgan to help explain the minimum lot sizes between what the existing zoning is and what the requested zoning is.
Rural residential zoning requires a minimum of 2 acres to develop. SF20 is between a half acre and the 2 acres. So that's the difference between the zoning districts. So it has nothing to do with the platting of lots.
Question for Kathy. Given that it's a 65-acre parcel, even at the rural residential, they could still be over the 30 unit development, correct? And need 2 entrances. So with either zoning, we could still have the need for a separate access. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
Does that cover your question, Ms. Covey?
Yes, it does. It is just, now I think the neighborhood will need to focus on how we can change so that second entrance does not intersect with Reese Road. And one last thing on my part is that I walk Reese Road virtually every day. And I'm not sure exactly who thinks our road is in good shape, but it has not been touched for any repairs, anything since it was installed in 2005. We have 4 to 6 inch cracks in our road today. So it is not in good shape. You can see where it's crumbling in areas, and as you drive slowly over, you can feel every one of those cracks. So I just want to put that out, that I don't know if the new area would be handled better and maintained better, but our area has not been maintained at all since it was inception of 2005 and installation of the road. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speaker? Hearing none. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this?
This is Don Stearns again. I
You've
should have
already,
reserved the
Mr.
balance.
Mr. Stearns, you've had your opportunity to speak,
Well,
and
I'd
there's
like to
you're only
conclude
given
my
one
final
shot.
Just a brief statement. I'm sorry. I know everyone's time is so valuable.
Mr. Stearns, excuse me, but your time has already expired, and you've had your chance to speak. It's not a dialogue back and forth where you can chime in at any time. So are there any other speakers that would like to address the commission on this case? Yes, Mr. Wadle.
Yes, after the public speakers, I'd like to go back and readdress Mr. Nick's question that he asked earlier.
Okay, all right. Anyone else that would like to address the commission on this case? Anyone else on the zoning case that we are addressing at this moment? Hearing none. Mr. Wadle, you had a response for Mr. Nix?
Yes, I did. I wanted to add some additional information I think is pertinent to the situation. It's been brought up by multiple speakers. And that was, the question originally was, why was this sent back? What was some of the reasoning? And I've indicated that it was to collect additional public input. And before you consider this item, I want to share that just as some of the speakers have indicated, staff did receive emails prior, in opposition to this zone change application prior to your first meeting. And that at that meeting, staff indicated they had not received any emails, and that those emails were later provided to you at a subsequent MAPC meeting so that you had those, but that they were not presented to you at the original MAPC meeting. The BOCC was made aware of that, at their meeting. I think that was one of the reasons that they have sent it back. Likewise, just as an individual has indicated, and it has come up time and time again with this, that this is not a platting case, this is a zoning case. At the CAB discussion for this particular item, there was great emphasis placed on the configuration of the development, the proposed configuration, and that the BOCC was aware of that conversation, and so they, as was indicated, wanted to make sure that there was this distinct difference and that this was considered as a zoning case, which it is, instead of a platting case. And I think that that distinction has been brought out in today's discussion. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of both of those points, and likewise also emphasize that the BOCC did want to make sure and ensure that there was adequate opportunity for folks to provide public input, and that that was especially emphasized after they saw that there had been involvement in the first MAPC meeting, but then following that, there had been no involvement. So they wanted to make sure that folks had that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Wadle, for that clarification. And I'll ask one more time, is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this zoning case? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the agent or applicant, and you have 2 minutes to respond.
I have nothing further to add based upon the zoning issue. I think we'll have more conversation on the plating side.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Garber? Hearing none, we'll bring the discussion back to the commission for action.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve per staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Blick, second by Ms. Fox to approve the zoning request. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Our next case, Con 21-27.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission. Philip Zevenbergen with planning staff. Conditional use 2021-27 is a request for Group Residence Limited on property zone single-family SF5, generally located east of North Edgemore and about a block south of East 13th Street. It's located at 5502 Polo Drive. The applicant currently operates a Home Plus group home on the property, which is allowed by right by the Unified Zoning Code in the SF5 zoning district. And it is protected by state statute. A Home Plus group home allows up to 8 residents and 2 staff at this location. The request for conditional use for Group Residence Limited will allow the facility to house up to 15 persons, including staff, but the applicant stated that they intend to only house 10 residents in addition to 2 staff members, so a total of 12 would be on the property according to the applicant. There's a definition of what KDADS, Kansas Department of Aging and Disability, identifies as a Home Plus. You can read that in your staff report. A group residence allows anywhere from 6 to 15 persons, which includes staff, and it is allowable by conditional use in the zoning code. The facility is an existing single-family home in a single-family neighborhood. It was built in 1952. It currently has 8 bedrooms and 2,900 square feet of finished living space. The 2-car garage was converted to 2 of those bedrooms in order to bring it to 8. So the only parking on the property is in the driveway, which accommodates 2 spaces. The variance case that we will be hearing later is actually going to be addressing that issue. That's why we have to address this first before the parking reduction, because if there's not a conditional use for the use, then the parking reduction is not needed. Parking requirement for it is 1 per bedroom, so they would need 8 parking spaces without the variance, but again, their variance request is reduced that down to 2. Properties surrounding it are single-family SF5. In 2019, the property abutting to the east was approved for a conditional use for a Group Residence Limited for a Home Plus group home, in addition to a variance to reduce their parking to 2 as well. The property has access off of East Polo, which is a paved local street with on-street parking but no sidewalks. Edgemore is classified at this location as a local street. North Edgemore has no sidewalks as well. Municipal water and sewer are currently serving the home. The comprehensive plan identifies this site as appropriate for residential on the future growth map, which reflects the full diversity of development densities typically in an urban municipality. The plan discusses a range of housing densities types including single-family, detached, multifamily units, condominiums. It actually had a special note in there for special residential accommodations for the elderly. That's actually specifically stated in the plan, which are things like assisted living, congregate care, and nursing homes. It is staff's opinion that the conditional use request conforms to the comprehensive plan. This also is within the established central area, which is the urban infill strategy. It identifies the area as an area of opportunity, which are areas that exhibit economic challenges or disconnected development patterns and a lack of walkable places and facilities. These areas need strategic investment with both public and private in assistance to redefining and reinvigorating the area. Staff feels that the development of this site aligns to the goals of the Wichita Places for People plan as well for strategic investment. Overall, staff is recommending approval subject to several conditions. First of which is that the conditional use will be limited to 10 persons needing assistance with daily activities and 2 staff members. So basically limiting it to 10 residents in addition to the 2 staff. The owner of the manager facility shall comply with all regulations and licensing required by KDADS. No sign shall be allowed except those permitted by the sign code for this zoning district. And that the site shall be operated in compliance to all federal, state, and local policies and rules. Findings for the zoning and character of the neighborhood we talked about before is single-family residential. There is at least one home care plus adjacent to the east. I am aware that there are several other group homes in the area, and I believe there are going to be individuals from the public when you're speaking about those. They are more familiar with those. The subject property could be used as a single-family home. It could be used as a group home, which it is currently being used right now. They are only asking for group residents limited because they want to exceed 8 residents who are unrelated. Removing the restrictions on the property should have no or limited or no detrimental impacts to the surrounding residents. Again, they're currently operating a group home. They're just looking to add 2 additional residents to the property, so they need to actually do the conditional use to get a different definition in order to accommodate the additional residents to care for. I can go through the site pictures real quick. We're going to scroll through those. This is the property aerial. Again, the property to the east, directly to the east, is a Home Plus facility as well. I believe the one to the south, right across Polo, is also, it's a group home of some kind. I'm not sure if it's a Home Plus care facility. Keep going. It's a land use map showing the residential recommendation. Move on. This is a site plan. They are intending no external modifications to the house. Again, this is actually even more supportive of the variance request, which we will talk about later in the meeting. They want to provide care in a home type environment for these individuals, and to have to pave a space to accommodate potentially 6 or 8 parking spaces will actually, detract from the neighborhood setting that it currently has. Next picture, I believe, is a floor plan showing where the bedrooms are. And I believe the next ones are the site pictures. If you want to go. This is looking at the house from across the street. Next picture. This is the house to the east. That's the Group Residence Limited that was approved in 2019. Next picture. This is the home to the south, which I believe is also a group home of some kind. Next picture. And this is looking across the intersection. This is Edgemore Drive right in front of you at the residence, a residence nearby as well. With that, I can stand for any questions.
Do you have any questions for staff? Yes, Ms. Foster.
Just to clarify, we're looking at changing from 8 residents and 2 staff to 10 residents and 2 staff, but the staff are the only people that drive cars.
Correct.
So this change would not affect the actual number of vehicles coming and going.
Correct. The
Okay.
only change is when you go to group residence limited, the off-street parking requirement by the zoning code requires 1 space per bedroom. Group home is only required 1 space per dwelling, which is what it is now.
Okay,
By
thank you.
moving classifications in the zoning code, the off-street parking requirement changes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Blick?
I have a question. Can you go back to the map, the very overhead on where it shows the houses from up above? That one. The adjacent home to the south, you said it might be a group home also. I noticed that it's got that kind of curved driveway and it connects to the other. So is it all 4 or all 3 other houses that are adjacent also?
The only ones I'm aware of, exactly the locations, the one directly to the east, with kind of the gabled roof with the windows coming out of the roof.
Right.
And then the house directly to south with the horseshoe drive. Those are the only ones I'm aware of. I've been informed by neighbors that they say there's 5. I'm not exactly 100% sure where the other 2 are located. I'm sure they will inform you as to where those are.
Got a village.
Any other questions at this point for staff? Hearing none.
My name is
Is the agent or applicant available? Huh?
Yes, my name is Sarita Duachene, and I am standing in for the applicant, Miss Sonia Hamilton.
You have, if you could state your address, and you have 10 minutes.
10 minutes. My name is Sarita Duachene, and my address is 1822 North Brunswick Street. I am currently the operator and hopefully the owner of 5502 East Polo Drive, which we're now operating as a Home Plus. We recently acquired it from the owners before. We are doing, when we did our floor plan, we were told that we can go up to 10 residents, actually not our floor plan or plan from the architect. We were told that we could go up to 10 residents, and that is our aim. We're not adding any other structure to the building. We just want to get the variance so that we are able to accommodate the 2 other residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Yes.
How typical is it for there to be visitors to your residence?
The visitors are scheduled, and we normally have 2 visitors at a time. If there's a birthday party, if someone needs to just come and visit, they will call ahead of time and make an appointment to come in.
Okay, thank you.
One of the, Sarita, one of the concerns that I read was maybe not necessarily from your group home, but other homes in the neighborhood where there would possibly be residents that were roaming the streets, or not necessarily roaming the streets, but they had, they were out exercising and walking around, maybe getting disoriented. What types of security measures, if you will, do you have for your staff to know if there are residents that are leaving the home? Are there state requirements for that?
Yes, sir. We have alarms on both front and back entrance. We also have a secured fence around the perimeter of the back entrance or exit of the building. Our residents does most of their exercise in-house. I can't speak for the surrounding facilities around us, but we ensure that our residents are with a staff if they're going outside of the building.
Thank you, because that was a concern. That there is a way to notify staff if you have somebody entering and or exiting the facility. Thank you for your candid response. Are there any other questions for the
I have a question.
applicant at this point? If not, we'll see if there are people in, yes, Hortense, I see that you want to speak. I'll get to you.
Yes.
I'll get to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to address the commission on this? If you would please come forward, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Gail Fisher. I live at 5653 Polo Drive, which is 2 short blocks directly to the east of the 5502 residence that we're having a discussion about this morning. As a matter of fact, I want you to know that there are 5 group homes within 2 blocks of me, starting from this 5502. 5. This is an area, a neighborhood, it is an idyllic, or could be an idyllic neighborhood. There are properties in value of $750,000 to $150,000. There are Black people, brown people, white people, multicultural, all nationalities that live here, and this is a wonderful neighborhood. Our neighbors are great neighbors, and we do neighbor. But you can imagine with some of our properties, we are concerned about having 5 group homes in this close of an area. Because what in fact happens is that these homes do not come with 8 bedrooms. They come with 4 bedrooms. And so consequently, these homes are modified. And so you are never, and severely modified for just even 8 residents. You will never sell these properties again without modification back, anyway, you just won't ever be able to sell them as simple residences again. You'll have to lower the prices of them. Now, this has all happened pretty quickly. We are, as you know, we have the three group homes right there in a cluster. And I will say, just interestingly enough, the home to the east, it has been closed because of COVID. They have no residents in there and will not for the foreseeable future. As far as parking, I cannot believe that if you have to add 2 more staff, you're not going to have additional people parking. I counted 7 cars. That is not unusual in the morning to have 7 or 8 cars for this facility. I will say also that this facility is not legs when it comes to how they do things. They're not, and forgive me, I'm sure you folks are lovely, but they do not have the property at the same standard that the rest of the neighborhood has. And that is a very big concern about adding anything to this. The other thing is, at what point do you begin to lose the whole idea and the concept of people that have the right to live in a residential area? You have to be careful not to turn this into a commercial area. This is on Edgemore. There is trash, there's medical waste, there's adult diapers that are strewn everywhere. It's a big concern.
Your time is up.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to add, or I'll give you 30 seconds to finish up?
Yeah, I will say this. this neighborhood is a poster child for Wichita. But we can't be, we have struggled to be. We even had a real estate agent come in and redline our area because of what was going on, because we did have multiracial neighbors. So we hope that the city of Wichita will consider that we need the help of you folks to keep from, we have potentially 5 more homes that could increase. I mean, you're setting a precedent here. And it's dangerous as far as the neighborhood is concerned. And we appreciate your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Are there any questions of the speaker? Hearing none, thank you again for your testimony.
Thank you.
You bet. Is there anyone else in the council chambers that would like to address the commission on this zoning case? Or, excuse me, conditional use case? Hearing none, is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission? Hortense?
Yes.
Councilman,
Yes, my name is, excuse me, Hortense Grant, and I live at 5517 Polo, just adjacent to the nursing home. And she's talking about parking. The parking is totally ridiculous right now. And to add any more parking would be truly ridiculous. And I agree with Gail. We have a nice quiet neighborhood here when I moved in, and it shouldn't be all these nursing home and group homes. You know, parking is just a big problem for us, getting in, sometime getting out. And she says they don't have that many parking, but any day you can come up and there's 3 or 4 people parking. Some in front of my house, some right in front and right across from my house. Even though that other one has closed, she's taken up the space for those that used to park there in front and right across the street. So I just think that it's just time for some of this to stop. I mean, we've just suffered enough, and I agree with Gail. It's affecting our property of our homes that we have invested in. We moved over here because it's nice, quiet neighborhood without all of the traffic and the parking on the street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Grant.
Councilman, Sarita, if I could address
Sarita?
Gail.
Sarita?
Yes.
I'll give you an opportunity to respond to all of the speakers once they have all expressed their points of view. Okay?
Okay.
All right,
okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Grant from the commission? Hearing none, thank you again for your testimony, Ms. Grant.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case?
Yes, I would like to address the commission.
Okay. Name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Glenn Burdick, 1148 North Parkwood. I am the president of the Lambsdale Neighborhood Association. That is the neighborhood association that covers everything to the west of this residence, and we also include the homes on the Circle Drive that are to the north. As the representative of the neighborhood association, we also would like to note to you that we do, as a neighborhood association, oppose this expansion. We understand that by state zoning laws, companies are able to come in, purchase these houses and convert them over, and have created quite a little commercial area in our residential neighborhood. We know we can't stop that by the licensing ability, but we do want to stand up and say that we oppose the expansion. We acknowledge that, yes, during visitation times or other times, there's excessive cars out there. There's trash. The house does not look as well as the houses surrounding it. It's not kept up well. And we have one across the street. We have one next door. We have one to the west that is 3 houses away. It's quite the little area. We know that that's what has happened to this neighborhood, but my neighborhood association and myself oppose an expansion of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdick. Is there anyone on the commission that have a question for him, for the speaker? Hearing none, thank you again for your testimony. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this case, located at 5502 East Polo? Hearing none, I think that we may have one more person in the council chambers that wants to address the case. You could go ahead and step forward and give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Dennis Murphy, 1305 Perth, and I just wanted to say that every residential home within 200 feet of the group home wanting to redevelop has signed a petition against the proposal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there, do we have any questions for Mr. Murphy from the commission? Hearing none. Anyone else virtually or in the chambers that would like to address the commission? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the agent or applicant to respond to what you have heard. Sarita?
Thank you so much, Councilman. I just wanted to address a few things. The first thing, I didn't get the speaker before last's name. He spoke about expansion, and I just want to reassure everyone, we're not looking to expand anything on the outside. The structure of the house will remain the same. The rooms were already expanded on before we took over the property. We just simply got our code footprint done. And when we did our code footprint, the gentleman told us that we are able to house 8 people. It is verified by KDADS. We got authorization from KDADS, and we are now just looking to be in compliant with the city. That's why we're applying for this variant. Also, I cannot speak for the other facilities around us, but we have no medical waste that has been thrown or thrashed about on the streets. We dispose of our medical waste through a company. We have the Eagle Trash that picks up our trash. We only put our trash can out on the day when they're supposed to be removed on a particular time. And as soon as they are removed, we bring our trash can back in. I cannot speak for the people around us, but we are very, very meticulous when it comes to that neighborhood. I know it's a cherished neighborhood, as Gail and Ms. Hartens has brought to our attention. We're not here to try and change that. We're there only to provide a safe, secure home for the elderly that needs that. And I would think that the people in that neighborhood, as Gail said, who are loving neighbors, will want that for a resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. Are there any questions for the applicant? Yes, Mr. Nix?
Can she address some of the concerns regarding parking that have been discussed?
Sarita?
Yes, sir. With the matter of parking, at any given time, we do not have 4, 5, or 6 people there. We have 2 staff that is parked on one side, and we have a nurse that come in the days to check on the resident. So at any time, you will have the most 3 vehicles there. I know Ms. Hartens mentioned that the location next to us was closed and that other people were taking up the parking space. I cannot speak on that because that is not any of our staff. What I know is we have 2 staff there every day. We have a nurse that rotates through our that facility and our other facility, and we will have a residence family or 2 that will visit. And as I mentioned earlier, those are scheduled. Thank you.
Ms. Fox?
Can you please clarify, you said you have 8 residents and there are currently 8 bedrooms. You're planning to increase to 10, or you would like to increase to 10 residents. Will you be modifying the interior to 10 bedrooms?
It is already modified before we bought the property.
There are 10 bedrooms or there are 8 bedrooms?
It is 8 bedroom that was extended, and now 2 can hold 2 resident instead of 1.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question. How long have you had 8 residents with 2 staff living there?
We purchased that property in October, so I would say from October until now, a good 6 months.
Okay. All right. And before that, I assume it was a single-family residence?
Yes, sir.
In the typical, okay. All right. Thank you.
No, I object. That's incorrect.
Are there any
several
other
years-
questions? Are there any other questions for the agent? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. Do we have any questions for Philip?
I got a question for Philip. This is just a side note. So the applicant was talking about it already was designed and set up for 8 bedrooms and stuff. Whenever somebody applies for a permit, if it's a business or residential, is it the same process? They go in through the MAPC and go through zoning if they're remodeling or something like that on their home? Or is there a difference between a business and a residential? That's even in a residential house?
I don't know if I have enough understanding of the permitting process to answer your question.
Okay. What I was asking about is if a personal individual owns a home and wants to remodel, is it the same process versus a business that owns a residential house and they go through the process also?
Yeah, again, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not in understanding of the full differences in the permitting process. To answer that question effectively, I apologize.
No problem. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Move to approve per staff comments.
Motion's been made by Ms. Foster, second by Ms. Miles to approve per staff comments. Any questions on the motion?
Questions on the motion?
Do you have a question on this?
I just have a discussion point.
Yeah.
I'm a former licensed administrator of Home Plus and nursing facilities. And I'll just add the comment that the difference, the Home Plus is intended to be 8 individuals that considered appropriate for a residential neighborhood. The licensing changes at 10, believing that's now approaching commercial. And so I believe the expansion of the size, I won't be able to vote to approve this based on expanding that size to 10 individuals in the size of the home.
Any other comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay.
We'd like to have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. All Right, Green,
Aye.
Bill Johnson,
Aye.
McKay,
Aye.
Gross is not here. Fox,
Nay.
Jewel,
Not here.
Blick,
Nay.
Nix,
Nay.
Foster,
Aye.
Warren is not here. Mr. Joe Johnson,
Nay.
Miles,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Florence is not here.
Passes 6-4.
6-4.
Passes 6-4. Okay. Moving on to our next case, condition 2129 and con 2130. Conditional use for group residence located on West 37th Street North. Kathy?
Thank you, Commissioners. This has two parts to it. Again, it's a group residence limited. The applicant wants to have 10 clients. It will be 24/7 staffed. At most, the maximum number of staff will be 2 persons at any one time. They'll have one staff person overnight. They do have, can you take me to the site plan? Okay, on the site plan, it's kind of hard to see, but there are 2 handicap parking spaces right in front of where the hatched part of the house, which is existing. So there's 2 there, and then there are 8 spaces in the designated paved parking area. And these spaces face toward the east. The existing detached garage structure already has the accessory apartment in there, and that was completed prior to the current owner purchasing this property. And as you can see, they want to expand the house to the east. This is just a little under 1 acre. They have the driveway, a circle driveway, much like what you just heard for conditional use for group residence. And I do want to point out that you have a packet of emails that was provided to you before the meeting. Again, we had emails that came in after your original packet was sent out. This case was heard at the District Advisory Board meeting last night. They voted unanimously to approve the conditional use for the accessory structure, Con 2021-00030, and they voted 8-1 to approve Con 2021-00029 for the group residence. This again is for 10 clients and 2 staff. The apartment will serve as living space for an on-site administrator in addition to the staff people that will be inside the house with the clients. Again, this is for these folks range from age 18 to seniors, and they are vetted for meeting requirements for people that need daily assistance or assistance for daily living activities. In your staff report, you have the conditions for the group residence limited for a maximum of 12 persons. That's 10, including the 2 staff people at any one time. They are licensed and reviewed, whatever, by the Kansas Department of Health and Aging and Disability Services. There will be no freestanding signs on this property. They will be required to file this conditional use with the Register of Deeds. The property has unimproved curbs. It's a 2-lane arterial property, and it has bar ditches on either side. Can you go back to the aerial, please? Okay, so actually go to the zoning, if you would. Okay, so this is TF3 that's surrounded by SF5 within the city limit, and then directly across the street, that is the city of Mays. That residential area is within the city of Mays, and they were afforded notification of the zoning action. So I just wanted to point that out. So Mays is kind of right there between 2 pieces that are city of Wichita city limit. We find that staff recommends that the proposed project does comply with the comprehensive plan and would recommend approval of the conditional use for the group residence limited. The conditions for the accessory structure, that is pretty much boilerplate, as we have done in the past with accessory structures located within existing buildings. They will need to go back through a building permit review for this accessory structure since it was built by the previous owner, and there's no indication that they went through a building permit process. So with that, also the fact that the accessory structure will remain under the same ownership. So with that, I would answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Nix.
So is it a group residence right now?
They have just purchased this within 3 months, so they're getting everything together. They've been working with an architect. And so I'm not aware that they have any residents on site at this time. And they're going through their licensing procedures. The applicant should be online, and they can answer that question.
I get Mays is to the south?
Right. Can you, Paul, can you point? Okay, Mays is that white area. To the east is City of Wichita, and to the west is City of Wichita.
Before we go much further, I need to say that I did have some ex parte communication with one of the people that may or may not be speaking today. I do have an open mind on this case. I just wanted to, the questions that she had were more concerning what happened at the District Advisory Board, what that meeting was all about, what this meeting is about, and what's going to happen in the future with regards to City Council. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Right. And there were concerns, the concerns that were listed in your emails were parking, the drainage because of the bar ditches. When it rains significantly, those bar ditches fill up. And so that would be addressed at the time that the building permits are issued for the expansion of the existing house.
Okay.
And there are, would you go through the photos just so we can see the sites? This is looking north at the structure from 37th Street. Next. This is looking at the east side of the house where the addition will be constructed. Next. This is looking northeast from the driveway at 37th. Next. This is looking east from their driveway at the main structure, and where you see that covered portico, that's the general vicinity that the two handicap spaces will be located. Next. This is looking northeast. There is a masonry screening wall between this TF3 and the SF5 to the east. Next. This is looking back toward the detached garage and accessory apartment. And as you can see, there are vehicles that are parked on the grass. They do face north, so that can provide some light issues for the neighbors to the north. Next. This is looking northwest from there again from the street right-of-way toward the east side of the house, and you can see the detached garage in the background. Next. Just another view of the garage, and at the east end, that's where the accessory dwelling unit is located. Next. Mature trees on the property on the east side of the house. Next. This is looking back northeast. The masonry wall stops, and then there is the wooden privacy fence, 6-foot privacy fence. Next. On the right side of the picture there, you're seeing a mature tree line that goes along the north property line, looking back toward the house. Next. And this is looking east along the right-of-way, West 37th Street. Next. This is looking south from the front of the garage. Next. This is looking toward the southwest from the driveway at the site. Next. This is looking west along 37th Street North, and you can see the unimproved ditches. Next. That's another picture of the parking area where currently, or where the site plan proposes that a hard surface lot will be built. Next. And this is looking at the property south of the existing site. And this property is located within the city of Mays. Next. And that's it. And I will stand for any questions.
Questions?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Kathy,
Mr. Hartman?
you mentioned that there would be 12 people. I'm reading your recommendations. Number 1 says a maximum of 12 persons needing assistance.
Right. That
So will it be
includes maximum of 2 staff members and 10 residents.
But that's not what this says. It says 12 needing assistance. Wouldn't it be 10 needing assistance plus 2 staff?
Yes, it would. I'm sorry. Yes, it would. 10 needing assistance, a total of 12, and that includes the 2 staff people.
Okay.
I'll make that change.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission for staff at this point? Hearing none, do we have the agent or applicant?
Yes, I'm here, Lionel Perez.
You could state your name and address for the record, and you have 10 minutes.
Yeah, Lionel Perez, 10932 West 37th Street North. We are going to be the owners and operators, hopefully, of this Home Plus. And, one thing that I want to point out is, the size of this lot. As you can see, it's almost an acre lot. So there's definitely plenty of room for the expansion that we're looking for by having the the 10 bedrooms total there. And then the only access to get into this Home Plus is going to be off of 37th Street. And so you can see on the west side, there's a fence. On the north side, there's a privacy fence. And then also on the east side, there's a privacy fence. So plenty of room for the expansion that we're looking for. And also it's going to allow us to have a lot of green space on the north side of the home there. And also with the parking, you know, we're going to have the 10 spots for resident parking. Honestly, we don't anticipate having that many people at the facility at that same time, but that's just going to give us plenty of options for parking. As people come in off of 37th, they'll just go to the back area where you saw those cars parked in the grass. That's just going to be a beautiful parking lot back there in the back. So, you know, currently we could do, per city regulation, we could have up to 8 residents. And we're just asking for the 2 more bedrooms to be able to house the 10 residents at the Home Plus. And I know I answered a lot of questions last night, but I'm happy to answer any other questions anybody might have.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Are there any questions for the speaker? I'm sorry, for the agent, applicant from the commission? Hearing none. Stand by. You will have time to respond at the conclusion of the public comment period, Mr. Perez. Thank you. With that, is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to address the commission on this case? And if so, if you could please come forward, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Angie Kendall, 10915 West 37th Street North. And in the pictures, I am the property directly to the south. My husband and I operate a quarter horse farm directly to the south. We have, our area is zoned residential, rural residential and agricultural. We raise quarter horses among other things, other animals on our property. And then to the north are the Hampton Lakes subdivision, which we've gotten to know several people in the area. We interact with several of them. A very active neighborhood, lots of kids, very non-quiet, but that's okay with us. It's a very active neighborhood. Directly to the west, that you'll see that home, that fence is not a privacy fence. It's a wrought iron fence, and there is a pool just on the other side with 3 very active boys that live there. Again, a great neighborhood. My husband and I oppose this for several reasons, but some of the main ones, we're concerned about drainage. You can see the 2 ditches. They're barely a ditch, and we've had trouble with drainage. It doesn't even have to rain a 1/4 inch that those ditches are full and remain full. They can't even mow them because they remain wet all the time. We're concerned about drainage and the parking lot, the runoff from the parking lot. Putting a parking lot in a residential area is not too inviting to me, myself. We're concerned about hours of operation. They say they're going to be 24 hours, 7 days a week. That concerns me. My front door faces the house that they're going to develop. A little bit of history about that property. The building that they're going to house these people are in was the original farmhouse built in 1961. And then the other building was added a while back. The people that lived there before the Perez's were carpenters, and they did carpentry work in their workshop, and they had a small apartment to house guests of their church that would come and speak at the church. And they would stay 2 or 3 days and be gone. But very small apartment in that building. We're concerned about the situation of the residents. They say 18 to seniors. That concerns us. Another thing that concerns us is the security for those people. As you can see, my pipe fence comes directly up to 37th Street, and I have horses, quarter horses that come up to those fences. I'm concerned about They say they're gonna put in a nice porch for these residents to sit on and stay outside and look outside. I'm concerned about someone wandering over and across 37th to see my horses. I'm also concerned about them wandering into that pool that's directly, is probably as far away from that house as that wall. It's close enough, and it's very clear to see all the activity in that pool.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up. Can you wrap up your comments in about a minute?
Yes, I will. And also, 37th is a very active street because it feeds into all the Mays school districts. Very active, very hard to get in and out of that in the driveway. So I guess I'll stop there. Those are some of my main features. Sorry, a little nervous.
All right.
Thank
No need to be
you.
nervous.
Thank
We're
you.
all neighbors. Are there any questions for the speaker?
So your main concern is the safety of the residents in the home?
One of my main concerns is safety. Drainage is a big factor there. It's a big problem, and people have asked to have it fixed. It hasn't been fixed. This is going to add to it with the runoff.
Drainage is addressed in the platting process and the evaluation at that time?
If we were, yeah, if
If it were,
The drainage drains into my pond from the housing addition and drains into my pond that is back behind my barns.
Doesn't the drainage drain across the road and into your pond?
Yeah, it drains across the road, underneath,
The ditch is
back to
full
my.
of cattails.
Do what?
The ditch is full of cattails. I mean, cattails grow in water.
Yeah, there were cattails in the in the ditches. There is always water in those ditches.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the council chambers that would like, if you could just go ahead and come on down and name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Mary Ketzner, and I live at 10913 West Waterside Court. You're going to see me reading a lot because I'm pretty nervous being up here. My husband and I live adjacent to the property to the north property line. We have a concern as to whether the applicant has a history or experience of running a group home. We also have a concern that we are ensured that the applicant has an existing license present today for this group home. We also understand that there's a possibility that this group home will go through. We are opposed to it, but we do have some requests in case it does go through. We request that the conditions to use include a requirement that the applicant introduce measures to mitigate sound and light impacts associated with the activity of the group residents. In particular, we request that use is conditioned on the introduction of landscaping around the perimeter of the property as to mitigate the measure. We also request that the applicant has made a number of statements regarding the operation of the group residents that are intended to alleviate the concerns raised by the adjacent homeowners. To the extent possible, we request that these statements are documented and included as conditions of use. Further, we ensure that the applicant is the party responsible for meeting these obligations, we request that the conditional use allowance will be vacated if the applicant sells the property or assigns operation of the property within 5 years from the date a conditional use is generated. And those are my comments, those are my thoughts. So I guess I'm open to questions.
Do we have any questions for the speaker? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Castor.
Yes.
Is there anyone else in the council chambers? Go Chiefs.
My name is Melanie Butler. My address is 3826 North Rutgers Court. I'm in the cul-de-sac west, northwest of this property. I have many concerns, most importantly, the potential for a very decreased property value for our entire subdivision. I have safety concerns in general for children and potential senior citizen occupants of the property. We have a neighborhood pool. We have a neighbor with a pool. In addressing point 3 of the staff's recommendation, the house directly west of the property, my neighbor has a pool on the property. There is only a wrought iron fence to secure the lot with a gate that does open currently. Will the city be extending the cement wall on 37th Street to surround this entire property? I echo the concern for the last case regarding medical waste. That was not something I considered, but I have children. That's very concerning to me. Who regulates the facilities is a concern to me, and based on the previous case, is 12 occupants accepted as meeting the requirements for this land use? I had a crash course this morning in this process. Thank you to Mike Green. I really appreciate his time. This is a very concerning application to me and is very personal to my family, friends, and neighbors. The applicants for this case have grossly misrepresented to our entire neighborhood the intent for the property, telling us it would be zoned for their parents and a prayer room, and that they would live at the facility. This is clearly a misrepresentation. It resulted in many of our neighbors throwing away the letter from the city out. And additionally, it is public record that the applicants have previously defaulted on real estate taxes in 2018 in Hays, Kansas, and are heavily involved in an MLM pyramid scheme. Although I'm addressing their character, I am concerned that what we are setting in stone for the future of this property could potentially be based on further untruthful information. If the applicants default on taxes again, what happens? If they get this approval, do something to the property, and then sell, what happens to us? Can the group home be used for a purpose other than a senior home? I'm not sure. A halfway house? I don't know. I don't know their intent. They've lied about it, so who knows? I do request that this application be denied, but at the very least, I request that we extend or have another hearing to allow time for our neighborhood to understand and further petition. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the speaker? Hearing none. Is there anyone else? Thank you again for your testimony. Is there anyone else in the chambers that would like to address the commission? Hearing none. Is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this case?
Hi, my name is Kelly McKinney.
Hi, Kelly. If you could give us your address, and you've got 3 minutes.
I live at 3806 North Rutgers Court, and I live on the court directly to the west of the property. And I would like to also add and confirm what Ms. Butler had said. I do feel like the applicants misrepresented what they intended to do. It did result in majority of the neighbors throwing out the letter. It was only brought to my attention this past weekend, a holiday weekend, when an actual
We lost you. Kelly?
when one of our other neighbors had found the agenda and the actual.
Ms. McKinney, you're, I guess Ms. McKinney, you keep on cutting out. Ms. McKinney, can you hear me? Love virtual. Ms. McKinney? Well, there it is. Looks like she may be gone. We'll attempt to come back to the previous speaker. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission? Hearing none.
I'm sorry, was I lost?
Yeah, Ms. McKinney, we lost you, and we're gonna let you go ahead and if you don't mind starting over. I think that you started breaking up and kind of lost track of the thought process that you were sharing with us. So we'll start the time over at 3 minutes and have at it.
Okay, thank you. Again, Kelly McKinney, 3806 North Rutgers Court. I wanted to communicate that and confirm what Ms. Butler had said regarding what the Perez's represented to us. They had stated that they were going to be adding on 2 bedrooms for their parents and possibly in a prayer room. We found out just over this past weekend when one of our neighbors found the plans that there was going to be 10 bedrooms added and a parking lot. We were all shocked at what we had found out. I feel like they misled us intentionally in order for us to throw out these letters and not contest this project. My other concern is regarding the language of residents of 18 years and older. So if the older residents aren't providing to their bottom line, is this going to turn into something like a drug rehab or something for delinquent youth? We have a lot of young children in the community, and I am fearful that this could be turned into something different. Also, on a personal note, I have a grandfather with Alzheimer's, and when he was in his home in the middle of the night, he actually wandered off and into a neighbor's pool, and he passed away. I don't think it is smart to have this kind of property next to a family pool, and we also have a lot of residential pools and a community pool. So I hope at this time you decide to continue this to give Hampton Lakes residents more time to research this and to actually contest this project.
Thank you, Ms. McKinney. Are there any questions for the speaker? Hearing none, and thank you again for understanding our virtual world that we're living in right now and how we drop people sometimes. And thank you for being patient with us on that. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this?
Yeah, my name is, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you first.
So my name is Allison Garrels. I live at 10813 West Waterside Court. It's the court directly to the east of this property. I think my concerns are along the same lines as Ms. McKinney's in that the information that we had been given was that this would be a property for parents and a couple of other seniors. Learning that it also includes 18 and up is a real concern to me. We have small children. Our property is very close to this one. And I also echo Ms. McKinney in that at the end of the day, you're putting a business really in between different houses. And so we could have any kind of, group home going forward. So that is why we are opposed to this.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Hearing none, thank you again for your testimony. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission? Thought I heard one more.
I would.
Okay, yes.
I would, yes.
Yes, name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Warney Butler. I'm also at 3826 North Rutgers Court. We are the cul-de-sac directly west of the residence we're speaking about. I guess my concern is that right now, as I understand that this is zoned 2-family residential, and largely which was done in 2009, and largely because there's two properties on the structure. I think the way it's been spoken about is that this is already an existing home able to be used for this kind of purpose, and essentially it's not. I mean, I just want everybody to appreciate the fact that we're dealing with people that aren't currently approved to operate a home like this, have no experience operating a home like this, as far as I'm understanding. They're going to take a single-family residence and essentially quadruple the size to create a business. I do understand that it's nearly a 1 acre lot, but none of the neighbors directly adjacent to this would be able to do, this type of addition, regardless of if their lot would allow it or not. And I just wanted to appreciate the fact that this is currently a two-family residential home or lot rather, that happens to be plopped right in the middle of a well-developed, well-entrenched single-family residential development with many kids, with many people concerned about the value of their homes, and what would happen when you plop essentially a commercial entity in what they're proposing in the middle of that. I'm concerned about 24/7 parking and the lighting that would bring, and the nuisance to the neighborhood that would cause. The traffic is a concern, irrespective of the fact that 37th Street is a 45-mile-per-hour, well-traveled, heavily traveled street. So I just wanted to keep in mind of where this property is currently, and I feel like it's an enormous leap to make to approve something of this nature as it sits right now. So I appreciate the council's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony today, Mr. Butler. Are there any questions for the speaker? Hearing none. Is there anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Anyone else virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the applicant, Mr. Perez, and you have 2 minutes to address any concerns that were brought forth.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that, I think most of you are aware that this type of facility is highly regulated by the Kansas Department of Aging. So that is definitely the governing agency that's going to provide all the security. And I think that would take care of most of the concerns that people are talking about. So that is definitely our governing body. And then also, as Kathy gave you guys those handouts, there is some stipulations in there as far as like the lighting and things like that. We're not going to have, this is not a big commercial property. It's not going to have big lights in the area, big signs. We're not going to have anything like that. So this is going to be a highly, the oversight is going to be by the Kansas Department of Aging, and then also by City of Wichita. So I think all the measures are in place to make this a really nice home for people that are going to need assistance with daily living. So with that, thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Any further questions for the agent? Yes, Mr. McKay.
Ms. Perez.
Did you turn it on or off?
On now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi, Ms. Perez. There's been a couple of comments made. Number one, what experience have you had running an operation like this?
So we have a lot of family members that are involved in this type of business. Nurses, CNAs, operators. We've never done it ourselves, but this will be our first business venture in this type of Home Plus setting. but we are very familiar with the overall Home Plus and assisted living business part of it.
And the second question was, they said you met with the people and implicated you're going to use it for one use. It's changed it from that. Can you kind of clarify that for me?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that neighbor is talking about. I mean, we've never had an actual meeting about this. I think we've met a couple of the neighbors. We've only been in that house about 3 months. So we've only met a couple of our immediate neighbors in that house. And then going through so we've never really had a discussion about it. However, the formal process was when we started talking to the architects and talked to Kathy, and then we had to put the sign out in the front of the yard. So the sign was out there clearly for those 15 required days. All the communication has definitely gone out appropriately. So the communication as far as our intentions, that's clearly been stated, formally through the city of Wichita.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant? Yes,
I think
Mr.
someone
Hartman?
asked whether this is, a license has been asked for, if he has a license to do this yet. Do you have a license yet for this facility?
My wife just recently passed her test, so we're in the process of sending her information in and just acquiring that license. So all the requirements have been met. We just need to submit that to the state. And then also, as you may be aware, but there's a process for the entire facility to be licensed through the Kansas Department of Aging. So we will start that process as soon as we kind of have to get approval from the city of Wichita to do something like this, before we start that process also. So it all kind of goes together hand in hand, and we're kind of in the middle of all that process. But as far as the operator course, yes, my wife, we're going to be the owners and operators, and she has met all the requirements, and we're just in the application process for the actual license.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the commission? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you.
We'll bring this back to the commission for action.
Chairman,
Yes.
Like everyone here, I'm sure we all appreciate the need for these kinds of facilities, particularly with all of us aging the way we are.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. But I just don't personally believe that this is an appropriate place. Maybe the home itself, but to expand the home in this particular location, I probably should recuse myself from this because I'm somewhat biased because I've lived in this area my entire life. I understand the problems with drainage and the way the property's been built up. I'm not even sure I knew whether it was in Mays or whether it was in Wichita until this thing came up. They kind of have joined forces here. But I can't approve it. I'm not going to approve it. So.
I'd repeat, my concern is really more than 8 people in the same facility in a residential setting like this. The difference between caring for 8 and 10 with 2 staff in a residential setting is very dramatic when you have challenged adults 18 and over. And I will say I have also a child living in this type of facility, so I know by right 8, the group plus or the home plus is allowed by right in this area, but I definitely can't approve of the extended group residence limited.
Yes, Ms. Foster and then Mr. Johnson.
As I understand it, the whole point of the group home and the Home Plus concept is that people who live in these facilities want to live in a residential neighborhood the way they've lived most of their life. So I don't think regarding this as a commercial facility is necessarily the right perspective to have on it. The drainage issues, I agree, are something that need to be addressed, but I don't know if they're going to, if this is the appropriate stage for us to be talking about drainage issues. That will happen later in the plating, will it not?
If it's platted, I don't know if this area is platted or not.
Yes, this property is already platted, so it would be through issuing the building permits and whatever, they would have to have a drainage plan.
Well, the additional impermeable surface, the parking lot is what would tip the scale on the drainage probably, correct?
Yes, they would have to account for the coverage of the impermeable parking
area.
service and also the expansion of the footprint of the house.
Yeah, so all part of the application process for the building.
So it will be addressed during the building permit process, and there are ways to make non-permeable parking lots, should that be necessary. I would vote to approve, just for whatever point of discussion it may be.
Okay.
Second.
Mr.
Sorry, that was just an opinion, not yet a motion. We're still in the discussion phase here.
Yes, Mr. Bill Johnson.
I was just going to talk about the building permit.
Okay. Ms. Miles, did you have a comment?
I was just going to make a second to that motion because I thought she was making a motion, but I would make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Ms. Miles approved. Yes.
Just a point of clarification, as part of that motion, there are actually two conditional uses that are being considered. So Kathy, I don't know if you want to highlight that.
Yes, can we, this is for conditional use 2021-00029 for the group residence limited on this motion. And then the con 2021-00030 is for the accessory apartment. So you could take those separately.
Or we could take them.
Do I have to take them separately?
No, you don't. You can take them both in one motion.
So Cindy, you want to clarify?
I just assume take them both in one motion.
Okay.
And I would agree to second both of them in one motion.
Okay. So yes, Mr. McKay.
Can we do that? Because is there going to be a limitation on the conditional use, or is it just for infinity?
Mr. Wadle?
As far as the clarification, I would defer to Jeff Van Zant, who is joining us remotely.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, he muted himself.
And then unmute your microphone and we can hear you even better.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you can do it in one motion, but the problem is if one commissioner is agreeing to one but not the other, there's no way to split a vote like that. So you do run the risk that, that can't be accomplished. My preference is always to do it in two, so it's very clear, so nobody feels like they can't vote on one way and vote on the other.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay, then I'll withdraw my motion and I will make a motion to approve CON 2021-00029.
Second.
Yes, Mr. Wadle.
I apologize, but another point of clarification is that in the staff report, it was noted that there was a correction. Mr. Hartman pointed it out about the number of residents and the number of staff. So I just want to make sure that this motion, or just want to clarify whether or not this motion includes that correction, which would be 10 residents and 2 staff members.
That includes that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor and it has been properly seconded to approve Con 21-29. Conditional use for group residence. Are there any questions on the motion? Comments? Hearing no further question or comments, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Green.
Aye.
Bill Johnson.
Aye.
McKay. Gross, not here. Fox.
Nay.
Duels, not here. Blick.
Aye.
Nix.
Nay.
Foster.
Aye.
Warren is not here. Joe Johnson.
Nay.
Is that nay?
Miles.
Aye.
Hartman.
Aye.
Florence is not here.
6-4.
6. That is correct. 6-4. Passes 6-4.
Now I'll make a motion to approve CON 2021-00030.
Second.
You have the motion on the floor made by Ms. Miles, second by Ms. Foster. Any questions on the motion? Did you want to add anything on this one, Mr. Waddle?
No, sir.
Are there any questions or comments on the motion?
It's on the accessory apartment.
The accessory apartment. Thank you, sorry. So, hearing no questions or comments on the motion, all those in favor of the motion, and we'll take a roll call again.
Yes, sir. Green.
Aye.
Bill Johnson.
Aye.
McKay. Gross is not here. Fox.
Aye.
Duel is not here. Blick.
Aye.
Nix.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Warren is not here. Joe Johnson.
Aye.
Miles.
Aye.
Hartman.
Aye.
Florence is not here. Unanimous.
10-0. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, moving on. We have agenda item 4.4, which is PUD 21-11 for a B multifamily residential and limited industrial to PUD planned unit developments located at 3100 North Hillside. Kathy?
Yes, on the zoning map, you can see on the west side of North Hillside, there's a little trapezoidal piece that's outlined in aqua there. That's the limited industrial. And then on the east side is, most of you would know this as the Riordan Clinic. And this has come about because they want to expand the uses that they offer at this facility. So with that in mind, they determined that the planned unit development was the better option because there was no one zoning district that really addressed what they needed. The uses that they want to have, and this is in the PUD language, they want to expand their development to include research incubator, medical facilities, a multimedia amphitheater, environment for residency programs and provider training initiatives, an integrative inpatient oncology facility / hospital. They want to have farm to market activities there, tables to teach people how to prepare nutritional meals, that type of thing. Potentially a cafe that would utilize the farm to market, a demonstration kitchen, restaurant and bar for the lodging concept, an executive retreat, medical fitness center. They also want to be able to offer equine therapy. They would not be having a stable on site, and the applicant can address that further. It's my understanding that what they would do would maybe once a week or 2 times a month would bring in the horses and conduct the equine therapy. And there are also in the PUD language, the exclusions that would not be allowed. Let's see, what else can I tell you? There is concern about the creek and the floodplain that goes through almost right in the middle of that property, and it goes across Hillside and down through Glendale Park. So there is concern about the development impacting the floodway and creating drainage problems. Can we go through the slides, please?
Kathy?
I'm sorry.
Can you clarify who that concern is from?
Oh, yes, I did have contact from one of the neighbors to the south, and that was her comment was she was concerned about the drainage. And I have put her in contact with the applicant and the agent to further get information about how that's going to be addressed, which again, these are platted lots. And so they will go through, because of the acreage, they will go through a drainage plan, probably some kind of stormwater, retention, we call it ROI, and I can't think of what I'm sorry?
Some sort of pollution.
Right, yeah.
NPDES.
Yes. So they would have to do that. Let's see, this was the only contact I've had about this property, is from Rebecca George, so, and she couldn't be here this afternoon unless she's joined within the last couple of minutes. But staff is recommending that the PUD be approved with the language as presented, and I will stand for any questions. Oh, shall we run through the slides right quick, please? Go back to that aerial, will you, Paul? So you can see that the existing buildings are up in the northeast corner of this property, and you can better see the creek that runs through there and potentially the floodway. They do have walking paths and that type of thing within this facility, and they aren't planning on altering that significant. That will still be a part of this development. They do have like 374 parking spaces there to the northwest where you see the collection of buildings. Next one, Paul, please. And so you can see where this lies within the comprehensive plan. It has a mix of residential and commercial and parks land use. So staff does find that the proposed use is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. Next. And this is the drawing on the PUD. That one large piece, although it shows 4 parcels, the one large piece is a single lot, and then the piece across Hillside is the second lot, and they are platted lots. Next. So this is looking from Hillside back toward the existing facility. Next. This is looking back toward Hillside. I think you can't really see the street. You may see to the middle right of the picture, you can see the entryway into the facility. Next. This is looking north along Hillside. Next. This is the parking lot that's to the northwest. I'm sorry. Yes, to the northwest of the building, the main collection of buildings. Next. This is at the entrance to the facility looking west across Hillside to the parcel that's zoned limited industrial. Next. And then this is looking south on Hillside from the entrance to the Riordan Clinic site next. This is looking southwest from the collection of buildings. There is a wetlands area there, and so what you're seeing is the vegetation around an existing pond next. Here again, this is looking at the main entrance across Hillside, and you can see the tree lines and kind of indicates where the creek flows with all those trees. And then Glenday Park is to the south of that tree line that you see on the left side of your picture next. And this is looking back toward Hillside from the building. So the thing of it is, it's got a lot of natural, mature vegetation that they will work with to maintain. And so just wanted to point that out next. This is looking at the south part of this PUD from the dead end at Vassar. So they do have access to a walking trail, and right now that's agricultural land. So the applicant may have more information about how they see developing that parcel south of the floodway next. And this is looking back west from that same dead end. And that there again, the tree line follows the creek flow next. And Holyoke dead ends into this location, and this is part of the walking path along or within the property. Next. And that's it that I have for pictures, and I'll answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for staff? Kathy, this walking path, is that public? It's a public walking path, or is that just
as
for
far
the
as
area?
As far as I know, anybody is welcome to come in and use that. I'm sure that they would like to know if they have visitors on the site. You can check in very easily at the main facility, which is what I did when I was out there taking photos. But it has open access from the neighborhood, so.
Okay, that's the question. Any other questions at this point? Hearing none. Do we have the agent or applicant, please? And come forward and state your name, address, and you have 10 minutes.
I only need one, Mr. Chairman. You know I need like 101.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim Austin, 5053 North Sandkey Court, as agent for the applicant. So pleased to be here to talk about the Riordan Clinic. I've been working with them for almost a year now. They've been undergoing some internal planning, strategic planning on how to envision a campus that the current board of directors wants to see. So if you think about the Menninger Clinic in Topeka, that's kind of the same model that they'd like to follow here. The clinic's been out there since 1984. They're sitting on almost 90 acres. And as you can see, a lot of the land is underutilized or has never been utilized in conjunction with the clinic. If you're familiar a little bit with the clinic, it deals with integrative medicine, kind of a holistic approach to medicine. They work and focus on some of the underlying lifestyle choices we make. Sometimes we overeat, maybe we overdrink, overindulge ourselves, especially coming off holiday weekends and stuff. So, yeah, that's not me. So, but anyway, they do work on looking at the total body approach to the patient. They look at nutrition, they look at lifestyle, they deal with the physical well-being, the mental well-being of their patients. And because of that, they'd like to undergo this restructuring of their campus, looking at different ways in which they can address the patient's needs. And so that's part of the PUD approach. This property currently exists under a community unit plan. but that really doesn't provide the flexibility that they need that a PUD would. And so the application is to set aside the community unit plan and deal with the PUD. And as I mentioned, they've been undergoing this process internally for about a year. They do have a development partner who's assisting them with the build out of the campus as they envision it, to help market, promote it. The Wygan Commercial Division is helping them with looking at possible partners, and Vantage Point Properties is their development partner to look at how they can integrate this campus in together with different uses in terms of the planning process. That's it really kind of in a nutshell. The area to the south of the Chisholm Creek is currently ag use. We've had a lot of discussions about how to access that. Obviously, if it's integrated in with the campus, it may require a creek crossing at some point, but there's obviously a cost associated with that, and you know, we'd have to look at the economic considerations on that. One thing on that bike path, it's actually a city bike path. There is a city blanket easement for that bike path to go through there, and so you can go all the way around, follow K96 through that location. I expect that to either remain or maybe relocated, depending on final plans and downstream tenants that might want to utilize that facility. With that, be happy to answer any questions that you might have. It's a little bit kind of, as most things are on the front end of a campus and trying to plan this out. Lot of unknowns, but a lot of goals and ideas that are getting floated around. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tim? I've got just a couple. I think Kathy had some communications with someone in the area about the equine component that you're looking at adding into this facility, and what are your plans for that? No stables, but
yeah, and I don't know that I know enough about that aspect. It was something that one of the prospects has as part of their mental health treatment processes is therapy with horses. I mean, we see them with other animals, dogs, cats. They have a component that they have with equine. I don't think that it would be a horse farm or anything like that. It's just probably a facility that would be fairly small that allows somebody to have that engagement with the horses for their kind of their treatment process.
And then the farm to table, is that another aspect of this?
Yeah, so that would be a very important aspect. It's, again, one of the tenants has looked at that aspect. Part of it's nutrition, and so we see a lot of movement over the last 20 years towards farm to table. We have local business that makes their cafes that based on that concept. But because of the nutrition, they like to grow their own product, prepare it, show people how to prepare meals, cook them, the types of vegetables, things of that nature. And so that's part of this envision for this therapy in campus, is doing some research in that area, but also bringing people in, showing them how to cook, showing them how to make meals for their own preparations.
And I think the other thing that she mentioned was the floodplain and the whole drainage ideas, plans, what issues, concerns, and how do you think those will be addressed?
And that's a great point. As we start looking at developing the site, one of the things that we've done is Call Valley Engineering has surveyed the property. They've been going through drainage analysis, kind of looking at the property from a master plan approach. So obviously with topography, there's some areas that make sense to set detention ponds. We don't typically build them on top of the hill, for instance. So, but as engineers, we can get that done once in a while. But anyway, we've looked at that aspect. There is a MAP FEMA floodway in there. There's some permitting issues that we would have to go through, for instance, if we did a crossing, a bridge over the creek. But there are processes that we follow to do that. And as we pull building permits and stuff, I'm sure working with the MAPC, that's something that they're going to want to look at and review, and we're prepared to address that.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none at this point, hang
Thank
tight
you.
and
Thank you.
you may get 2 more minutes. So at this point, is there anyone in the chambers that would like to address the commission? You please come on down, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, and we'd request that you pull your mask down when you present. Yeah, thank you very
That
much.
was definitely part of the plan.
Yes.
My name's Curtis Carter, 2824 North Bluff Street, Wichita, Kansas. I actually, I reside adjacent to the trail that was spoken of, and really that is my main and only concern as I come before you today. I appreciate the time. I'm not gonna hold you long because I know it's time to go. But with the trail and everything that was mentioned, I would hope that it would remain. I know myself and many of the community members, you say how many people use it, a lot of people every day. Living adjacent to it, I see it all the time. They're constantly riding their bicycles, they're cyclists, families, people walking their dogs. There's actually a park on the west side of Hillside that me and my children can access. They're 7 and 8, just really got on our bikes and getting more active, especially with the pandemic and everything last year. And we ride the trail quite a bit. We're able to go over to the parks on the west side of Hillside without having to go actually through the neighborhood streets with all the cars and on Hillside. So it provides, a sense of safety for them that we can get on there and not have to worry about going through the street because my son, he kind of wavers. So he can waver across the trail and then get back on it. So, and, surely an organization such as them who promote healthy lifestyle and living would like to see us continue to use that in the community because we do. And that's really my main concern. Sounds like what they're doing is great. I just want to make sure that we're all able to still have access to that trail and get to the park safely.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Thank you again for your hanging out for a couple of 3 hours. Of course. You bet. Is there anyone else in the chambers that would like to discuss this or have any comments to make? If not, is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on the Jordan Clinic, the planned unit development? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to the agent for 2 minutes to respond to possibly the concern that Mr. Carter had. Huh? Well, just the walking path? Yeah.
Thanks for the prompt there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
On the walking path, again, that's already an easement in place by the city of Wichita, so we would have to maintain it.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
There you go. All right. And no further questions of the agents. We'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
For staff comments.
Then Mr. Bill Johnson made the motion, and it looks like Mr. Nix won the second. So, although the motion's been made and seconded, are there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. At this point, we will go ahead and adjourn the Planning Commission, but we're going to open the BZA meeting. Okay. We've got one defector.
I think you meant to state one member departing.
That, yes. Oh, what did I didn't say that? Okay, first up, we have the meeting minutes from our BZA meeting that we held on May 6th, and I show one person absent, and that was Mr. Blick. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second. It's moved by Ms. Miles, second by Mr. Jay Johnson to approve the minutes as presented. Any questions on the motion, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And abstaining,
Aye.
motion carries 8-0-1. Next, we have BZA 21-26, a variance to reduce the amount of parking.
Yes, good afternoon again. For the record, Philip Ziebenbergen with planning staff. BZA 2126 goes in conjunction with...
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Before we get, my bad. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that we have a agent or applicant online
I noticed she
still.
left, but I emailed her and she said she was going to come back on. She is here. Sharita is
She
here.
is back on? Cool, okay. Sorry,
Okay.
Philip.
So,
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
This case is in conjunction with Con 2027, which we previously heard for the Group Residence Limited located at 5502. Sorry, lost my place here. Located at Polo Drive in Edgemore. Won't go into the details about the group residence because we already discussed that. As we discussed with that conditional use, a group residence limited requires 1 parking space per bedroom. The home was renovated to have 2 additional bedrooms, or a total of 8 bedrooms, I should say, so they would be required to have 8 parking spaces. With a Home Plus facility caring for seniors, none of their residents drive, and so they would only need parking for staff and potential visitors, so they are requesting a parking reduction for from 8 spaces down to 2 spaces, which can be accommodated in their driveway. It is a 2-car driveway that was in front of what used to be a 2-car garage. As we discussed before, all the properties around it are single-family SF5. The property directly to the east was approved for the same parking reduction back in 2019 because it is a Home Care Plus, or was a Home Care Plus facility for seniors as well, where their members did not drive either. Regarding the 5 points or the justification for the variance, the uniqueness is exactly as I stated. Their residents do not drive, and so they only need to accommodate parking for their staff and potential visitors. They don't feel that it would have any detrimental effects to adjacent property owners. There was a lot of discussion about individuals parking on street. Is yet to be determined which care facility or which home those individuals are actually parking for. Public streets are open for anybody in the public to park on, even if it's an individual residence and they have people who come to visit them as well. If they're not able to park in their residence's driveway, they would park on the street like you would have at this location as well. The applicant states regarding hardship that if the variance was denied, it would constitute a hardship on them. They would end up having to pave a portion of most likely the backyard because parking is not allowed within the front setback in SF5. So not only would have the hardship of the cost of paving it, but then you would also have, when it comes to the spirit intent of the code, you would actually be reducing the residential nature of the property by having a parking lot in their backyard. So staff does feel it is in the public interest and the spirit intent of the code to have this variance approved, reducing the requirement from 8 spaces down to 2. The 3 conditions are that, 1, that there's a site plan which they've submitted and we will review and approve it if it meets the standards, or they would have to submit a revised site plan for us to review. Second condition is that residents within the care facility are prohibited from having personal vehicles at the facility, so all personal vehicles would be related to staff or visitors. And then all state, county, and other applicable permits, inspections, and standards would have to be met. With that, I will leave it there because we've already gone through all the other slides. Nothing has changed. since earlier this afternoon, and I can stand for any questions you have for me.
Any questions?
Mike, I had a question. What was the vote on the original deal we looked at?
It was approved 6-4, or recommendation of approval of 6-4.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, if we could have the applicant, you could state your name and address, and you have 10 minutes.
Are you talking about me, speaker?
We're talking about you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I was deep down listening and I didn't hear.
That's okay.
My name is Sarita Duachene and my address is 1822 North Brunswick Street, Wichita, Kansas. And as Philip mentioned earlier, none of our residents drive, so there would be no need for us to do the additional parking lot. Also, we intend to keep the neighborhood looking as it is. We do not want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the neighborhood any further. I know a lot of the neighbors are not approved of the facility as is at the moment, and I would not want to do anything else to jeopardize that. So we are only wanting to get approval from the city to be able to accommodate our staff and visitors, in addition to our nurses that come through the facility on a daily basis to check on our residents. Thank you.
Yeah, Sarita, I've got a couple of questions. I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Fox.
So you have 2 staff, but then you also do have a nurse that comes daily. So that would be 3 cars at a time, and then possibly visitors. So is there enough room in that drive for them to be stacking the cars as they come and they're off the street that way?
Yes, the parking lot can actually hold 4 cars at a time. However, the nurse is not in the building all day. We have 2 other locations that the nurse rotates through.
Okay, thank you.
Is one of the requirements that your residents don't drive or cannot drive?
The residents cannot drive. Most of my residents are 65, 70 and older, and they use a wheelchair or a walker. Some have difficulty seeing far distance, so family member have them turn in their driver's license, and they only hold an ID for Wichita.
Okay, because that would be a concern if you were to allow residents that could drive, then you're going to wind up having the need for a parking space for that potential resident.
Correct.
But if that's one of the requirements that they cannot drive, then that would effectively eliminate that issue. The other concern that I see with the parking is on typical days, you're not going to have issues with parking. You'll have your two live-in people, and then you'll have an occasional nurse coming by. But holidays usually present an opportunity for family to want to come and spend time with their loved ones. How do you propose addressing that, and how often do you anticipate that happening?
That is a concern for us as well, and that's why we have scheduled visits. So say, for instance, a family member is coming at 10 and they will call us to say we're going to be there at 10. We would allot like a 2 hours for the family member. If they want more time, they will always tell us that they want more or request more time, and then we would stock the remaining visits accordingly.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, stand by. Is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this case? Is there anyone virtually that would like to address the commission on this zoning case for a variance to reduce the parking at 5502 East Polo? I see no one in City Hall, in the council chambers, so virtually is the only way, if there's anybody out there. Hearing none, I think what we can do is just, we'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve per staff comments. I like this situation where we're not adding a parking lot. I was a little bit concerned about the one case we approved where they're bringing parking. Kind of a catch-22. There's a requirement for it. I think this works out good. And as far as parking on holidays, I think anybody drives down any residential street on holidays, usually the streets are loaded with people because not any resident's got enough parking space for family members.
Good point. Thank you.
I'll second his motion.
So we have a motion by Mr. Bill Johnson, a second by Mr. Hartman to approve the variance. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. And with that, Mr. Wadle, do you have anything that you need to bring to the attention of our
No, sir,
commission?
nothing else.
Okay. Hearing none, we are adjourned.
This conference is no longer being recorded.